I am so excited today because I'm going to show you how to make your own encaustic medium. Encaustic medium basically comes in granules when you buy it ready-made or in bars or little cakes like that. That's the kind of thing that I like to make. I'm using a little muffin tin here. So first I'm going to show you the ingredients. There are only two. My wax and Damar resin. I make sure to buy beeswax that is refined without any toxic chemicals. That's very important. These are pretty white, but if you prefer, you can also use some unrefined wax that is yellow. It can give you beautiful results, and sometimes I mix the two, the white and the yellow, to get a warmer tone. That's really up to you. And my second ingredient is Damar resin. So Damar resin comes in big chunky crystals, but you can also buy it ready crushed or powdered like this one here. So if you have the crystals, you can just crush them inside the plastic bag with a hammer. Now we are going to use 1 part Damar resin to 8 parts beeswax. So this is what I'm going to use to measure. Now, to melt my wax and my resin, I like to use a crock pot or a slow cooker because I know it will never overheat my wax. And I like that it has a lid on top, which is very handy. You can of course melt the wax and the resin in a pan on your griddle that you're using to make art anyway. But I first bought this one when I didn't have a griddle yet, and I found it super practical and safe. Plus, I bought it secondhand. It cost me like a $5, so really that was a really good investment. And I have 3 settings, 1, 2, and automatic. So to do the encaustic medium, I'm going to be using the second setting. And if I were using it just to melt my wax to work with it and make art, I would be using the first setting. So the first thing I'm going to do is protect my work surface with a non-stick baking sheet. And I'm going to take my slow cooker and I'm going to measure my wax and my resin. Now, many artists like to melt their resin first and then add the wax. Others like to melt their wax first. The way it works for me, I just put it all in there and melt it slowly, and it works like a charm. So I'm not going to fill them up completely because I don't think I could put 9 of these into my slow cooker. That would be too much. So let's say I will make 4 of these and half of this. So that will be the same proportion. Okay, so that's 4 of them. And now I'm going to fill 1/2 of my bottle with my resin. You'll notice that the resin has some little dark dots here and there, some little impurities, and that's completely normal. That's natural resin, and so this is a bit of bark that's left from the tree. We're going to filter it at the end. So I'm adding the resin to my wax, and I'm going to mix it all together. There it is, and now I'm going to gently let it melt. I'm going to put the lid on it, and I'm going to set it to my highest setting. So 1, 2. It's not perfectly aligned, but it's this one. So it's going to take a little while to melt, especially here because I used a lot of wax, but I'm going to make sure that I'm not going anywhere. I want to stay near my wax. I can do something else, but I'm always keeping an eye on it. I'm going to stir it occasionally. I'm going to make sure that my wax and my resin melt together beautifully. And another important thing to keep in mind is to have a good ventilation at all times. So if you want more safety instructions about working with encaustic wax, you can watch my other video about my encaustic setup and the page on my website about the encaustic setup, where you'll find some additional safety tips and supplies list. So here we are. About an hour later, this is what my encaustic medium looks like. This is hot, be careful. So you can see that there are some impurities floating, and I'm going to stir it because the resin is still a bit sticky at the bottom. Now this is really hot, you want to be careful. So because I'm using this slow cooker, it melts everything very gently and there are no fumes. It's just, for me, the perfect way to make my encaustic medium, very safe and very easy. Before I can pour my medium in my little tins over here, I'm going to need to filter it because it has all these little pieces of tree bark. So what I'm going to use is a regular pan. I'm using this one only for my wax, never for cooking. I have placed an old piece of cotton t-shirt over it, very fine cotton. You can use cheesecloth too. I have secured it in place with an elastic band. And I'm going to pour my medium into my pan and then I can transfer it to my little tins. So before I do that, I put on some gloves because I want to protect my hands. I always like to be on the safe side. So I always put a large pan underneath, it's safer. As you can see, there are many impurities left in my fabric here, and also a lot of them at the bottom of my cooker. So now I'm going to transfer my wax, filtered, beautiful, into my little tins. So you can pour it directly into the tins, but because I'm using a big pan, I prefer to transfer it first to a small one because it's going to make it easier for me. And I'm going to pour the remaining wax into my loaf pan. This is the one I'm going to be using on my griddle, so this way it's ready to go. Beautiful encaustic medium. It's ready, and I'm going to let it cool and I'm going to show you what it looks like afterwards. Also, I'm not going to clean my pan, it's just going to be ready for next time. Here they are, my beautiful little wax cakes, and I'm going to pop them out of the tin, just like that. I really love these. They're really beautiful. It's a lovely color, very smooth, and they smell so delicious. They're very easy to store too. So what I do is usually I use big glass jars like that and keep them all in there. I really hope you find this tutorial useful and that it shows you how easy it can be to make your own encaustic medium. I really love making my own. It makes the work that much more personal. It's lovely to work with natural materials and it smells lovely too. It's also much less expensive this way. So give it a try and I hope you have fun making encaustic art.